Welcome back to another episode of Blue Couch Therapy. I'm your host, Cody. So the topic of today's discussion is going to be how to deal with that nagging negative voice in your head. How to deal with that brain, the part of your brain this is the brain here, here's the brain stem here, got some brain activities here. The part of the brain that always is like nagging you. It's always nagging you. It's always telling you you're lame. It's always telling you you're ugly. It's always telling you you have bad ideas. It's always telling you that you're a failure. It's always whatever it may be. First and foremost, guys, we need to mitigate and eliminate all negative self-talk. Because how can we expect anyone on the external to look at us with a positive light or a positive reaction or a positive way of being if these are the kinds of things that we're saying to ourselves? Now, these are just examples. I've heard people say a lot worse things about themselves. They'll sit there and smile in everybody else's face, call you bro, call this, you this, love this. And then themselves, they say, I hate the way that my shirt or my toes is this. I hate the way that so stop and think, where does that come from? Why do you think you're ugly? Because 15 years ago, somebody dissed you and said that you were, I don't know, why do you think you have bad ideas? Because 20 years ago, a teacher told you that you couldn't make it, Is that why you think you're dumb? Is that why you think you're lame? Is that why you think wherever these thoughts and processes come from, it's important to recognize that they no longer serve us, guys. It no longer serves you from this moment forward hearing my voice. It no longer serves you to say negative things about yourself. It no longer serves you to say negative things about others. It no longer serves you to gossip, to complain, to critique, to criticize. Cut it off right now. We can do that together and start fresh right now, okay? So the mind is like a sponge and there's the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and then everything that the subconscious mind believes to be true will be brought into the conscious mind. So if you think you're lame, if you think you have bad ideas, if you think this is what you're telling your subconscious mind since you were a child, train up a child in a way in which they will not depart when they become an adult. And you will see that people never break these generational curses. They never break these paradigms of thinking. And it's tragic because you can change like that. Literally, you can change like that. I know they always try to scare us and say that like your life can change in the blink of an eye. And they only use that to refer to negativity, as in, you could lose your job, or you could get into a car crash, or you could go to the club and get beat up. But they never said that like your life can change in an instant. You could find a new job. You could be walking around and win a sweepstakes and change your family's life forever. You could let one of your ideas become reality, change your life forever. So failure is only what we dictate. And as I say that it's time to rid ourselves of this negative thinking, here's an easy way that I like to understand things to help me kind of navigate it so that it doesn't seem as daunting as before. So if you think about that nagging voice in your head, this chitter chatter monkey mind that's telling you that whatever it's telling you at this moment, maybe it's not telling you nothing because you're listening to me, but it's telling you that you're too this to approach that girl. You're too this to approach that guy. You're too this to get this grade on your test. No problem. Don't be upset. Don't think about it. Cause even yesterday I was having what I would refer to as a low energy day. I was feeling anxiety. I was feeling fearful. I was feeling vulnerable. There were some changes in my life that were happening that I've just kind of made me feel vulnerable. I think that's the best way to put it. And as a result of that, here's how I think about it. Don't be upset with yourself. Firstly, don't be upset with yourself because that's not going to help nothing. And once you start to look at these fear thoughts, this chattering monkey mind, in the back of your head, think about it as yourself. Because truly what it is, it's your inner child that's just throwing a temper tantrum because it feels as though things are not going the way that they seem, or they're not going the way that they wanted things to go. And when a child starts to throw a temper tantrum and says, no, I want this, or I want that, you don't yell at the child. You don't scold the child. Some people do, but that's not my form of parenting style. But there's no, just wait with the child. If you really sit there and you read what the child is saying to you, you read its body language, you can see the tears flowing. So imagine with me now. Let's do a thought exercise. Close your eyes with me with this one, if you wish. And think of that voice in your head is the 9-year-old you, maybe the 5-year-old you, the 7-year-old you, that's literally just looking at you at your big age now and just afraid. They're just afraid because at some point somebody hurt them. At some point somebody pushed them. At some point somebody knocked them down. At some point somebody said their body was ugly. At some point somebody said that their ideas were dumb. And kids get scared. Kids get scared. Kids get scared. If you've ever been around children and you know, a child that's afraid of fireworks or a child that's afraid of thunder, you don't just yell at them and say, oh, it's just thunder. It's just like, you have to be compassionate. You have to be compassionate to the child, and you have to sit there and you have to say, okay, Cody, I understand what you're saying. Explain to me why you're feeling this way. And then ask yourself these questions. Ask yourself these questions in the thought exercise. If you see yourself, your little child that just wants a hug, literally is just looking to just to be embraced by you, because they didn't always get the embrace from the adults and the people that were around them at the time. Think about it. We were not always embraced by the adults and the people that we wanted to be embraced by at the particular time in our lives. And that's okay, because everybody was just doing the best that they could with the information that they had available to them at that time. Okay? So no need for grievances, no need for grudges. We just understand that, and not to be mistaken, this is not an excuse for me to say, for people to say and do whatever I wish they please to other people. No. But what I am saying is that you need to be more gentle with yourself. Excuse me. You need to be more gentle with yourself in the way that you talk about yourself. You wouldn't come here and see a little child that's maybe the age of 3 to 7 and say, oh, you little expletive here, and how could you be so dumb? How could you be so, you would never say that to a child. Some might. If you do say those kinds of things to children, please leave this community. We do not want you here. But yeah, you don't yell at the child like that. You don't say the child is see, for example, and this is where I have a hard time with school and stuff, because they might make you think you're dumb. They might, especially if you're a person of color, they might make you think you're dumb because you didn't get good grades on a standardized test. And then now you go your whole life thinking that you're not smart because a bullshit standardized test told you that you're only good enough to be a plumber, or you're only good enough to be a janitor, or you're only good enough to be a lawyer, or you're only good enough to be a doctor, and nothing more. So that can be very disheartening for a child. And then if you think that we haven't even reconditioned our mind, so we still hold on to those same traumas and those same triggers from all those years before, but now we're just grown. So you might be asking yourself, well, okay, Cody, I get that. But then how do we navigate that? How do we change that? I say to change that, we must change ourselves. But it's easy though. You don't have to do too many push-ups. This method does not require you to do that much push-ups. Maybe just 1,000. Think about that nagging voice in your head as a little child, as you, the inner child, at maybe 5 years old. And just think about that child the next time you want to criticize yourself, the next time you want to talk poorly about yourself. And think you're saying that to that 5-year-old child. Is that something that you would say to a toddler? Would you look around and say, oh, because you're this, that make you look fat? You wouldn't say that to a child. So why would you say that to yourself at this age? That inner child is just looking for acceptance. All the reason why we having all these traumas and all this drama is because there was a lack of acceptance, less acceptance like 20 years ago, I guess, about that. Yeah, 20, 25 years ago. Things are changing. People are becoming more aware and receptive to emotions and empathy, which is great. I think it's great. So talk to yourself, talk to your brain, talk to your chattering monkey mind as if it was a child. Talk to it as if it was you. You know, like if it was literally you as a child, 5 years old, 7 years old, and see how that changes your perspective on the kinds of things you wish to say to that child. Because I know for a fact that I don't have any harsh criticisms or any critiques for any children. Because that's lame. To try to stifle young people. I digress. I just hate to see the permeation of negative ideologies and the negative ideas that are permeated throughout society and school and media affect and destroy our young people. Okay, it hurts my heart. So they say something like you can look up the correspondence between anxiety amongst young people and the expanse use of social media. So nothing is a coincidence. There's no such thing as coincidences in this world. Everything is correlated. We're all one. So talk to yourself, talk to that voice in your head as if it was an inner child, and just offer comfort. Offer comfort before you offer criticism and critique. Offer comfort, offer acceptance, offer acceptance for who you are. Offer acceptance for who you are. Okay? So with that idea, guys, offer acceptance about who you are. Don't yell at yourself. We've had enough people in our lives tell us that we ain't shit. And why say that to yourself? Not when you know you got good ideas. Not when you know you're smart. Not when you know you're talented. Not when you know you're creative. So what if you can't, some people might think some people might think their value is worth less because they're not good at certain things that other people are good at, even though we're all here with our own unique fingerprint to do something unique on this planet, you know? You might feel bad because you can't get good grades in math, but you're an amazing cook. Come on, the world needs more chefs. The world needs more, people to love. The world needs more love in however way that can be articulated. Because for me, I was probably, my whole academic career, I was a C student. I was a C student through and through. I didn't like the mold that school was trying to put me in at least, And I will definitely say that I fell into the category of bad ideas, thinking that I had bad ideas or thinking that because the thing with society is that everything is so rigid that when you're not rigid, when you can move like water, things start to feel weird. Things start to feel different because you're not going down the same path. It's almost like trying to go up a down current, Everybody's going this way. Have you ever tried to walk the opposite way through the mall? And it's so much slower than going with the flow, but the flow probably not going to take you where you want to go. You see what I'm saying? So it's important for us to just not allow these negative thoughts to permeate our minds any longer. There's time that has passed for that. We're embarking on a new age. We are embarking on a new age of positive thinking today. It doesn't cost you anything to change your mind, and it doesn't cost you anything to change the way that you think. It doesn't cost you anything to live your life as though you've already achieved the things that you want. Okay? The little child in your head is just trying to protect you. It's just saying all these things because it's afraid. It's been burned countless times in the past, and it's literally just afraid. But now this is where the mature mind comes, embraces that little child, give him a hug or her a hug, and say, hey, everything's okay. I got you now, little C. You don't got to worry about nothing. I got you now. So it's imagine the wisdom of yourself today, offering guidance and offering solutions and acceptance and wisdom to your childlike self. because that's the voice in your head that's saying, I'm afraid there's not going to be enough money for rent. I'm afraid there's not going to be enough money for, because it's, you know, it's that little voice inside your head that was conditioned from a young age to see that money's hard to get, jobs are hard to get, everything is hard to get. You know, you have to live in lack, and you live in fear, and you live in doubt, and you live in shame, and you live in guilt. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's a horrible way to live. It's a horrible way to experience life. And like you're always just like focused on the external, you know? Because if you don't embrace yourself in that light, then you're constantly searching for some external validation. You're constantly waiting for somebody to validate you. And when you're doing that, then you leave yourself open for brainwashing. You leave yourself open for manipulation, potentially. Of course, obviously, I'm not saying that, you know, anybody is everything. It's just that like you just leave yourself open. It's like if you don't know yourself, somebody can tell you who you are. That's the key takeaway. So we need to talk to ourselves like we know ourselves, because you do know yourself. You know what you like, you know what you dislike, you know what you love, you know where you want to go. It's just that like society's conditioning has oftentimes led us in a certain way, and then like you get so far down the river that it's like impossible to turn back around. Don't get caught up. Don't get caught up. Start small. Whenever you feel those negative thoughts, literally just imagine yourself giving yourself a hug, giving a 5-year-old version of yourself a hug, saying, hey, it's going to be okay. Let's talk about it. Let's talk through it. Let's talk, like, you know, and address these things in real time. See, okay, if you're feeling like, oh, wow, like I'm feeling scared, go for a walk, take a deep breath, leave your music at home. Cody, what's wrong? What are you feeling scared for? And then just listen to what the inner child has to tell you. Listen to what your subconscious mind will tell you. Listen to what your thinking patterns will tell you. You know, think and listen. And then might say, okay, you know, whatever the case may be. And then you can action as a result. You can say, Cody, you don't need to worry about that. God is protecting us. God is walking with us. You don't need to be afraid. You don't need to be afraid of what if, because the little child is always afraid of what if. If anybody have kids in the comments, they always asking about what if. Oh, well, what if this? What if we go to Disneyland? What if we go? It's always what if, because they're not living in the right now. They're living in the perceived future or the perceived past. And then we know that if you're living in the perceived future, anxiety, and if you're living in the perceived past, depression. So it's really and truly just like a matter of understanding ourselves, understanding our minds, and understanding that there is nothing wrong with you. It's just a matter of getting in tune with yourself so that you can shine the best way for you. Okay? So with that, I bid you farewell and adieu. I think that's the term. If you watched this video so far, thank you. I love you. And like this video, comment your thoughts down below. Comment down below how you are able to talk to your inner child. I would love for us to hear some extra tips and some extra guidance on the subject. Yeah, my first book, How to Get It, is going to be available very soon. If it's available by the time you're watching this video, the link will be down below. And let's grow this thing. Share this message with somebody who you think could use it, and let's grow. Let's grow the community the best way we can. I'm also offering exclusive coaching for select few. So if you are interested in working with me, you can apply in the email in the description. All right, guys, appreciate you all. Love you. Until next time. Bye-bye.